Chosen one, stop for a moment and breathe. This message did not appear in your life randomly. Something in your spirit was led here. Out of millions of voices speaking at this very moment, your path crossed with these exact words for a reason that is deeper than coincidence. Heaven has a way of guiding the right soul to the right message at the precise second it is needed. And today, there is something serious that must be understood. Because the truth is, something in your life is about to change in a way you did not expect. When you hear the phrase, losing your home, your mind might immediately imagine walls, doors, and the physical place where you sleep at night. But the message being revealed goes deeper than bricks and roofs. God is not only speaking about a physical house, He is speaking about a place of comfort, a place of familiarity, a place where your spirit has been resting for far too long. Chosen one, many of you have been living inside environments that once protected you, but are now limiting you. Spaces that once felt safe have slowly turned into cages of routine, fear, and stagnation. What used to nurture your growth has quietly started to suffocate your purpose, and heaven has been watching. God has seen every silent prayer you whispered when no one was around. He has seen the nights when you felt trapped between staying where things feel familiar and stepping into the unknown that your soul keeps sensing. The tension you feel inside is not confusion. It is divine pressure preparing you for movement. But here is the part many chosen ones misunderstand. When God prepares to elevate someone, He often begins by shaking the foundation beneath them. Not to punish them, but to move them, not to destroy them, but to reposition them. Sometimes the only way heaven can guide you toward the life prepared for you is by making the current place impossible to stay in. Right now, shifts are already happening behind the scenes of your life. Conversations, opportunities, and events are aligning in ways you cannot yet see. The environment you once depended on is slowly losing its grip over your future. And when that moment arrives, when the door you thought would always remain open suddenly closes, you must remember something important. It will not be loss. It will be divine redirection. But the reason this shift is happening, the real reason heaven is preparing to remove you from what once felt like home, is something very few people are spiritually ready to hear. And that is what we must uncover next. Chosen one, before we go deeper, you need to understand something about the season you are entering. The changes approaching your life are not random disruptions. They are divine corrections. When God begins moving a chosen soul toward their true assignment, He often starts by removing the places that no longer align with the destiny written for them. For a long time you have felt something shifting inside you. Maybe you could not explain it to the people around you. Maybe you tried to ignore it, but deep within your spirit you sensed that the place you were standing in, the environment you were living in, the relationships surrounding you were no longer matching the person you were becoming. This feeling did not appear by accident. God placed that awareness inside you as a signal. Because the truth is, chosen ones are not meant to stay where their spirit is shrinking. They are called to spaces where their light can expand. Yet many chosen souls remain in environments that slowly drain them, not because they belong there, but because leaving feels terrifying. Familiarity can feel safer than destiny, but heaven sees the bigger picture. God knows that the place you call home right now might actually be the very space that is delaying the next chapter of your life. And when a divine purpose is waiting, heaven will not allow stagnation to continue forever. Something must shift. That is why this message reached you today. Your spirit needed confirmation that what you have been sensing is real. The discomfort you feel, The strange distance from certain people, the sudden feeling that your life is about to move in a completely different direction. None of it is accidental. It is preparation, and if this message found you at the exact moment you needed to hear it, take a quiet second right now. Not for the algorithm, not for attention, but as a spiritual marker of this moment. If you feel in your spirit that you were guided here for a reason, if something inside you recognizes that this message is speaking directly to your journey, then leave the number 777 in the comments below, not as a trend, but as a quiet signal that a chosen soul heard the call. Because what you are about to understand next will reveal why the place you once trusted, the place that felt secure, may soon begin slipping away from you. And when it happens, it will not be because God abandoned you. It will be because He is finally moving you. Chosen one, there is a reason heaven sometimes removes people from the places they thought would always protect them. It is not cruelty, it is not punishment, it is correction and preparation working together. You see, many chosen ones unknowingly build their lives around environments that once served a purpose, but were never meant to become permanent. At first, these spaces feel like blessings. They provide comfort, stability, and a sense of belonging, but over time, something begins to change. The same place that once supported your growth slowly starts limiting it. You may not notice it immediately. The shift is subtle. Conversations begin to feel different. Opportunities stop appearing the way they once did. The energy around you becomes heavier, almost like your spirit is trying to breathe in a room where the air is slowly disappearing. And the truth is, that feeling is not imagination. It is spiritual misalignment. It is spiritual misalignment. God designed chosen ones to evolve through seasons. Each season has a purpose, and every environment you step into is meant to shape a part of your journey. But when the lesson of that season is complete, staying there too long can quietly begin to damage your destiny. Imagine a bird that has grown strong enough to fly, but continues sitting in a nest that was only meant for its earliest days. The nest was necessary once. It protected the bird when it was fragile, but if the bird refuses to leave, the same nest that once saved its life will eventually trap it. This is what happens when chosen ones remain in places that heaven already intended them to outgrow. God sees your potential far beyond what you currently see in yourself. He knows the doors prepared for you, the people you are meant to meet, the purpose waiting on the other side of obedience. But if you remain in an environment that keeps your vision small, you will never step into that greater calling. So heaven begins to intervene, not always loudly. Sometimes it starts with small disruptions, unexpected tensions, situations that make the place you once loved feel unfamiliar. The comfort begins to fade, and questions start rising inside your heart. Why does this place no longer feel the same? Why do I feel like I'm meant to move, even though nothing seems wrong on the surface? These questions are not confusion. They are invitations. Because the reason God may allow you to lose what feels like home is something most people never realize until it is already happening, and when that moment not comes, your faith will be tested in a way that reveals who you truly are becoming. Chosen one, here is the truth that many people struggle to accept. Sometimes God allows the place you call home to fall apart because it was never meant to be your final destination. For a long time, you believed stability meant staying where things were familiar. You believed that if something felt safe, it must be where you were meant to remain. But heaven does not measure your life by comfort. Heaven measures your life by purpose. And purpose often requires movement. There are moments in a chosen one's journey when the environment around them begins to resist their growth. Not because the place itself is evil, but because the assignment connected to that place has already been completed. The season ended, yet you remained. When that happens, something unusual begins to unfold. Doors that once opened easily start closing. Plans that once felt certain begin to crumble. Plans that once felt certain begin to crumble. Even the people who once supported you may suddenly seem distant or disconnected. At first, it feels confusing. You might even wonder if you did something wrong. But what if nothing is wrong? What if the disruption is actually divine direction? God understands something about human nature. If everything remains comfortable, most people will never move. They will stay in the same place year after year, slowly ignoring the quiet voice inside them, calling for change. So heaven sometimes does what love must do. It shakes the ground, not to destroy you, but to wake you up. Think about the moments in your life when your greatest growth happened. Rarely did it come from seasons where everything stayed the same. Growth often came through transitions, through moments where the familiar suddenly disappeared and you were forced to step into unknown territory. That unknown space is where faith becomes real. And faith is why losing what feels like home can actually be the beginning of something far greater. God may be preparing to relocate you, not just physically, but spiritually, mentally, and emotionally. The version of you that is emerging cannot remain in the same environment that shaped the previous chapter of your life. But there is another reason heaven sometimes removes a chosen one from their home, a reason that goes even deeper than purpose and growth. Because sometimes the very place you are standing in has unseen forces working against your destiny. And God refuses to let you remain where your spirit is, quietly under attack. Chosen one, there are moments in life when the danger around you is not visible to the human eye. No loud warnings. No obvious enemies standing at the door. Everything may appear normal on the surface, the same streets, the same conversations, the same daily routine. But in the spiritual realm, a completely different story may be unfolding. God sees what you cannot see. He sees the intentions of hearts. He sees the silent jealousy that hides behind friendly smiles. He sees the environments where your energy is constantly being drained, where your peace is slowly being eroded, and where your destiny is quietly being delayed. And sometimes, the place you call home becomes the center of that unseen resistance. This does not mean everyone around you is against you, but it does mean that certain environments can carry spiritual weight that a chosen one was never meant to live under for long periods of time. Have you ever noticed how your energy changes depending on where you are? Divert in some places, your spirit feels light, your thoughts become clear, creativity flows, hope feels natural, but in other places, something feels heavy. You wake up tired even after sleeping, motivation disappears. Your mind becomes clouded with doubt and anxiety. That did not exist before. These shifts are not always psychological. Often they are spiritual signals. God sometimes removes chosen ones from certain homes, cities, or environments because staying there too long would slowly weaken the purpose He placed inside them. What looks like stability on the outside may actually be a place where your spiritual strength is being quietly drained day after day. And heaven will not allow that to continue forever. When God sees that an environment is beginning to suffocate the destiny inside you, He begins preparing an exit, even if you cannot see it yet. Circumstances start shifting. Situations arise that push you toward movement. At first, it feels uncomfortable. You may question everything. Why is this happening? Why now? Why does it feel like the ground beneath my life is changing? But sometimes what feels like something being taken away is actually protection, because the next chapter of your life cannot unfold while you remain in a place that was never meant to hold your future. And the deeper truth is this: the shift approaching your life is not only about where you live, it is about who you are becoming. Chosen one, the transformation that is approaching your life is not simply about a change of location. It is about a change of identity. The person you are becoming cannot live in the same mindset, the same patterns, and often not even the same environment that once shaped your earlier life. Many chosen ones misunderstand this stage of their journey. When life begins to shift, when familiar structures begin to weaken, the first instinct is to hold on tighter. You try to repair what is cracking. You try to force stability back into place. You convince yourself that if you just try harder, everything will return to the way it was before. But what if it was never meant to return? God does not always rebuild the same house when a chosen one has outgrown it. Sometimes he leads them somewhere completely different, somewhere their gifts can breathe, somewhere their vision can expand without resistance. And that process often begins with discomfort. Think about the moments in nature when transformation happens. A seed must break open before it becomes a tree. A caterpillar must leave behind its old form before it becomes something capable of flight. In every true transformation, something old must end before something new can begin. Your life is entering that exact kind of moment. The environment that once held you is beginning to feel smaller, not because it changed, but because you are changing. Your awareness is expanding. Your awareness is expanding. Your spirit is growing stronger. Your purpose is becoming louder inside you. And the space that once fit your lair, 5 perfectly, is no longer large enough for the future that is forming. This is why some chosen ones suddenly feel an unexplainable urge to move, explore, or step away from what once felt permanent. It is not restlessness. It is spiritual momentum. God is guiding your path toward places that are aligned with the next assignment of your life. But here is the challenge. Before that new chapter fully appears, there is often a moment where everything feels uncertain. The old stability fades before the new direction becomes clear. This in-between season can test your faith more than any other stage, because it asks one powerful question. Do you trust God even when you cannot see where He is leading you? And how you answer that question will determine how smoothly the next chapter unfolds. Chosen one, the season you are approaching is what many spiritual teachers call the crossroads moment. It is the place between what was and what will be. The old chapter is quietly closing, yet the new chapter has not fully revealed itself. This space can feel unsettling. You may wake up some days feeling hopeful, sensing that something important is about to change in your life. But other days, doubt may try to creep in. Your mind may ask questions your spirit cannot yet answer. Where am I going next? What if I lose everything that once made me feel secure? Why does it feel like the ground beneath my life is shifting? These questions are natural. Even the strongest chosen ones face them. But what you must understand is that uncertainty is often the doorway to divine movement. When God is preparing to elevate someone, He does not always reveal the entire path at once. If He did, fear might stop many people from ever taking the first step. Instead, He reveals the next piece only when you are ready to trust Him with it. Right now, the changes happening around you are T of that process. The environment you once depended on is slowly loosening its hold on your life. Situations may arise that make staying where you are feel more difficult than moving forward. Plans you thought were permanent may suddenly become temporary. At first, it may feel like loss, but in truth, it is positioning. God is moving pieces across the board of your life in ways that you cannot yet see. Conversations are happening. Opportunities are forming. New doors are quietly preparing to open at the exact moment you are ready to walk through them. The challenge for many chosen ones is that they try to run back to what feels familiar when the transition begins. But returning to the old environment will not restore the peace you once felt there. Why? Because once God awakens your spirit to a new level of purpose, you can never fully return to the version of life that existed before that awakening. You have changed, and the path ahead will require courage. Because very soon, something may happen that will make it clear the chapter you once called home is coming to an end. Chosen one, when the moment of transition finally arrives, it rarely looks the way people expect. Many imagine that divine change will feel smooth, clear, and perfectly organized. But in reality, the shift often begins with confusion. One day something happens that disrupts the routine you once depended on. A plan falls apart. A conversation changes everything. A situation develops that makes it impossible to continue living life exactly the way you did before. And in that moment, the human mind immediately labels it as a problem. But heaven may be calling it a release. You see, God understands something about attachment. When people grow comfortable in a place, they begin to believe that the place itself is the source of their stability. They forget that the true source has always been the one guiding their path. So when that place begins to slip away, fear can rise quickly. What if I lose everything? What if the future becomes uncertain? What if I make the wrong decision? These thoughts are normal, but they often hide a deeper truth. Sometimes what you are losing is not your foundation. It is only the illusion that the foundation was tied to that place. Your real stability has never been in a house, a city, or an environment. Your stability has always been in the purpose placed inside you. And purpose cannot be contained by a location that has already served its time in your life. When God prepares to move a chosen one, He is not simply relocating them physically. He is positioning them where their gifts can finally reach the people they were meant to impact. The environment that once felt like home may have protected you during one chapter. But the next chapter may require a completely different landscape. A different community, different opportunities, different levels of growth. And that is why the shift can feel so powerful. You are not just leaving a place behind. You are stepping into the unknown territory where your true assignment will begin unfolding. But there is still one more truth that must be understood. One final piece of this message that will reveal why this transition is not something to fear. It is something to prepare for. Chosen one, the final truth about this transition is something that many people only understand after they have already stepped into the next chapter of their life. What feels like an ending is often the exact moment your real beginning starts. For a long time, you may have believed that the place you called home was where your story would unfold. You built memories there, you created routines, you imagined your future continuing in the same familiar environment. But God was seeing something far bigger. He was seeing the version of you that had not yet fully emerged. The version of you whose strength, wisdom, and spiritual awareness would eventually reach people you have not even met yet. The version of you that could only be developed by stepping beyond the borders of what felt comfortable. That version of you cannot grow if everything stays the same. And this is why the change approaching your life is not random. It is intentional. Heaven is guiding you towards spaces where your voice will matter more, where your presence will carry purpose, and where your spirit will no longer feel restricted by the limitations of the past. Think about every powerful story you have ever heard when the hero stayed in the same place. They happened when the hero was called to leave what felt safe and walk towards something unknown. Your life is entering that exact kind of chapter. The home you may be leaving behind, whether physically, emotionally, or spiritually, was part of your preparation. It shaped you. It taught you lessons that will serve you in the future, but it was never meant to contain your entire destiny. And the moment you realize that, the fear begins to lose its power. Because you start to see the transition for what it truly is. It is not the loss of security. It is the doorway to expansion. God is not removing you from your home to leave you lost. He is guiding you toward a place where the next level of your purpose can finally begin to unfold. And when that moment arrives, you will understand something that many people spend their whole lives searching for. You were never being pushed out. You were being called forward. Chosen one, now hear this carefully. For this is the conclusion of the message your spirit has been waiting to receive. The house you may feel you are about to lose, the familiar space that once gave you comfort, is not the measure of your life. It is a symbol, a doorway, a test of faith, and a stage in a much greater story that God is writing through you. When the familiar begins to fade, it is not the end. It is an invitation to trust a wisdom far greater than your own. Your home, your routines, your old environment, they are being replaced not with emptiness, but with opportunity. Not with fear, but with freedom. Not with loss, but with alignment. Everything you are about to step into requires courage, but also clarity. God is not asking you to hold on to what has already completed its purpose. He is asking you to step into the space prepared for your destiny, the place where your influence will grow, your gifts will flourish, and your spirit will finally breathe without restriction. And remember this: every challenge, every disruption, every moment of uncertainty is designed to refine you, awaken you, and remind you of your chosen nature. Those who remain faithful, who listen to the subtle whispers of heaven, who act on guidance even when the path is unclear, will not only survive the transition, they will thrive in it. So, as you prepare to leave what once felt like home, know that God has already prepared the path ahead. Doors will open that you could never have imagined. People will enter your life who will mirror the destiny you are stepping into. Opportunities will arrive that will expand every corner of your being. The shift may feel sudden, it may feel unsettling, but it is sacred, it is necessary, and it is divinely orchestrated. Chosen one, this is your moment. Stand firm in faith. Trust the process. Embrace the change and know that what you thought was a loss is actually your calling being revealed. Heaven is not taking away your home, it is giving you the life you were always meant to live. Step forward, step boldly, step into the promise.